up, guys? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology. We are back in James, and we're on chapter 5, the last chapter in James. So let's go ahead and go through this. But before, I want to mention, since we are on the last chapter, that we are going to be moving to Jonah next in the Old Testament. So as we continue reading through James, let's go ahead and you can start reading some of Jonah too. Get a little ahead. You know what I mean? But anyway, we'll jump back into James and talk about what chapter 5 has to say to us. So we always go through the 4 questions. And so if you haven't read 5, 1 through 6, go ahead and stop the tape, and then we'll be back with those questions. Or if you have, well, we'll not wait any longer. We'll just go ahead and jump into it. What does James actually say as we read through James chapter 5, verse 1 through 6? Well, he starts to go on a diatribe about the rich. He gets on them, man. He gets fired up about it, man. He says, the rich, you need to cry and wail. He says, because there is going to be some distresses that's going to come upon you, man. Cry and wail. He says, and here's the reason why. He says, because their riches have rotted, and it says, and their clothes are moth-eaten. It says that their gold and their silver has rusted, and its rust is a witness against them, and it even consumes, it eats their flesh like fire. It says that they treasure up things in the last days. And then it talks about how they treasure up these things. It says the way that they treasure up these things is by defrauding the workers in their field. And then it says that this defrauding of the workers, that the cries, and so the defrauding cries and the cries of the farmer, it says it goes up to the ears of the Lord of the Sabaoth. And if you listen to last podcast season, which was about to say Hosea, but Amos, then we talked about the Lord of Sabaoth many times, and we'll talk about it a little bit here later. And then it says that they live lavishly and lusciously in the lap of luxury of the earth. It says they fatten their hearts for the day of slaughter. Or in some terms, it could be they fatten their bellies, their guts. It says that you condemn and then you murder the righteous, and they don't resist you. And so the thing here is that these rich people, they need to moan, they need to wail, they need to cry out because of, first off, what they use their money for. So what do they use the money for? To just hoard up goods. See, the idea here is that all it does is just the goods that they have, that they own, they hoard it and leave it and don't touch it. It's not used for anything, so much so that it begins to rot and become moth-eaten. Their clothes be eaten by moths, and it rots. I watched the episode of Seinfeld, and it says once you get a moth infestation in clothes, man, they just literally like eat through all of it. It was like some old folks' clothes, you know what I'm saying? George was trying to sell it to the people. He thought he'd get a lot of money from it. And so this is what is literally happening to the people's clothes. See, some think that maybe he's just using an illustration, but a lot of others say that it's probably the fact that these people here are actually gaining so much that they have no use for it. And then they place it in a certain area, and then it just becomes destroyed. That's the wastefulness of the use of the money that they're gaining. And then we'll skip a little bit and go down to another thing that also describes the use of their money. It says all that they do is they gain this money in their last days to fatten their hearts for living in luxury, just for the glory of themselves. The lap of luxury, the glory of themselves. That's what they use this money for. See, so the first thing with the problem of being rich is that we have so much of it that it just goes to waste. And all that we actually use is only for our own gain. Who's that sound like, guys? Who's that sound like? And then number two, it's not just how much they're making or what they're doing, I guess, with the money that they're making. But second is how they make it. It says that they defraud their workers. They steal from their workers. There's been cases, I think, that it says that they are taking these people to court and taking their land, then making them work on that land, and then under making them pay debts because they have to feed them and clothe them or house them on the land that they can't pay back, and then they actually send them to court and put them in debtor's jail. Like, this is the thing that they're doing, and then they're keeping all the money that they gain from the work from these workers. In some renderings of the text, it says that there's a word called off, and it can mean from, it can mean against, it can mean from, it can mean a lot of different things, but some render it as from, like the wages, the defrauded wages are crying out from them, meaning like the money that's supposed to be in the pockets of the people is actually in their pockets crying out against them. Yeah, that is tough. That is tough. And so those are the two things I think James is saying about money, is that one is that it's how you use it, and then two, it's how you make it. How you use it and how you make it. And their intentions in making it is so evil. That's why it says that they murder and they condemn. When I talked about them bringing them to debtor's court, taking their land, making them work on it, bring them to debtor's court, that's the condemning. That is the murdering, because they're good as dead once they're in that debtor's jail, because there's no way they're going to be able to make the money to come out. And it says they cannot resist, or that says they do not resist you. It's because they don't even have the ability to. They don't have the power to, because of the position that these rich are in. So what is this saying about God? Well, God despises ill-gotten gains and the hoarding of money for no use. He says he despises money made off the evilness against, or perpetration against, the people. Like, ill-gotten gains are not the glory of God. And then the money, hoarding it for no use or for your own luxury, with no regard for anyone else. God despises that. What's it say about man? Is it, dude, I think it's saying that we seek our own pleasure. I mean, if you look at your own life, you look at the lives of others, don't you see it? We seek our own pleasure. And then sometimes we seek our own pleasure at the cost of others. So it's not only that we want to make ourselves rich and live in luxury, but the way we do it is we hurt others to get it. We defraud others to get it. We steal to get it. And that's the problem. So how do we apply these things to our life? Well, first off, you got to look at it, how you make your money and what you do with it. How do you make your money and what do you do with it? When you got the money that you make, are you bringing glory to God in your life? It's not to say that you can't live with good things. I don't think that's ever the idea behind it. But the idea behind it is that with the money that you make, are you helping others? If you see someone in need, are you giving what that need is? Or are you just fattening yourself up? And then finally, how do you make it? Like I said, is it a righteous way of living? Or are you hurting people, being deceitful in your dealings? Because that is not the way God is glorified. We saw that in Amos as well. Anyway, I thank you guys for listening, and hope to see you guys in the next episode as we continue going through James.